What's up, guys? Rick here with your preview for this week's Memorial Tournament, and this starts an unbelievable stretch of golf. First off, if you're watching this on Monday when I've released it, it's the longest day in golf, final qualifying for the US Open. Signature event this week, Jack's Place, unbelievable course, obviously a great field. US Open next week. Unfortunately, I won't be there. Little bit disappointed in that, but it's showbiz, baby. We'll move on. And then the week following the US Open is the Travelers Championship, which is another signature event. So lots of great stuff coming. Let's jump right into this week and talk about Muirfield Village. And let me just tell you, this is big boy golf. Okay? Are you a big boy? Because that's what it's going to take to win this week. Muirfield Village could host a major championship on like 2 hours notice, right? Jack loves to beat these guys up, and you've got to have a complete game to get around here. If you're looking at this, which is my website, RickRunGood.com, basically everything you see is from my website, giant database for fantasy golf and golf betting. The shot values, the whole values from last year are almost a joke. Right? 16, 17, 18 play combined 1.1 strokes over par. That's 3 holes. Okay. They're the 3 most difficult holes on the course. If you start on the back and have to make the turn there, you will play 7 consecutive holes that played over par last year because the first 4 out of the gate also were quite difficult. And it's not like there's a reprieve a lot of places throughout this round. 15, the par 5, that's the most gettable. But other than that, you're kind of tough scene. Take apart the par 5s. Couple of things to note here before we get to the regression model, and I'll scroll down so you can see that. This is a pretty rare combination that you get on the PGA Tour, and I'm actually writing something. I'm writing something in my newsletter about this right now. It'll probably go out on Tuesday, so if you're not subscribed, it's rickrungood.com/newsletter, or there's a link in the description. It's 100% free. It's pretty rare to have a golf course that is long and also with small greens. And that is what Muirfield Village is, right? So it's a top 5 longest course on the tour schedule, and it's a top 5 smallest greens. The only other course that is top 5 in both of those was Valhalla, or a major championship. Okay, so turn your brain towards that. You're probably gonna have to be uber talented to not only beat this field but beat this golf course. If you look at the regression model, if you've never seen this before, it's a very simple regression model is exactly what it is. It looks at every stat on the PGA Tour for the last dozen years, and it compares it to strokes gained, to success, to finishing positions, and it figures out which types of golfers have had the most success at Muirfield Village. We have a lot of great data here, right? We've played it every single year, and also we got the bonus week, which was the Workday Charity Open in 2020. They played here back-to-back weeks. They were vastly different. One of them was like 17 under par, 18 under par. I think Colin Morikawa won it. And then it was like the very next week, I think it was like 6 under or something like that. So it played very different, but we do have a lot of data from this golf course. And what you're going to see is right here, tee to green play. Tee to green play is the strongest correlator to success at Muirfield Village. And it makes sense. You have to be good off the tee, keep it in the short grass, hit it long. Approach play is incredibly important. And then if you do miss so what you're going to end up doing, and if I scroll down, you'll be able to see this, you're going to end up hitting a lot of long shots into small greens. So 2/3 of the shots, approach shots, are coming from outside 150 yards, 25% of them coming from over 200 yards, right? So you're looking at, like I said, long shots into small greens. You are going to miss a lot of greens, which is why the strokes gained around the green number is pretty highly correlated to success here. 14th, which means there's only 13 other courses in which strokes gained around the green is more correlated to success than here at Muirfield Village. Putting is 34th, so it's about middle of the pack. So that's why you see the drop off from strokes gained total to strokes gained tee to green, or the vice versa, because strokes gained tee to green is so much more valuable. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for strong well-rounded players where you're just going to have to hit shots. If we take those numbers and look at the last 36 rounds for everybody on the PGA Tour, no surprise that Scottie Scheffler gets the best adjusted fit. He's the best tee to green player in the world. It's not even close. So if that is being magnified here, Scottie Scheffler's name is going to be at the top of this adjusted fit number. Xander Schauffele's number 2, probably still no surprise, right? He always ranks highly in a lot of tee to green correlations. He ranks highly in well-rounded correlation stuff. He's coming off the win at the PGA Championship. So yeah, he gets the second best adjusted fit. Rory McIlroy, Hideki Matsuyama is one here, twice. Ludwig Oberg, that's the top 5. A little bit surprised to see Justin Thomas and Corey Connors 6 and 7. Not that I think those guys are bad, but just interesting. I think the top 5 are like the guys that I would expect to have a lot of great success at Muirfield Village. And then, JT and Corey Connors. Although JT was in that playoff with Colin at the work day in 2020. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do, because I know a lot of you like this. I'm going to show you the satellite imagery, and I'm just going to show you a couple of items here. Unlike in Canada, where you could carry a lot of the trouble, you're going to be very hard pressed to carry the trouble at Muirfield Village without taking on significant risk. Here's just number 1. It's a really good example. You'll see something similar on 18. The carry, the line that you would want to take, if you could carry everything, would have to be like 347 yards. Okay. Now, wind and tee dependent and all that stuff. 347, but it's the fairway bunkers being on the inside of the dog leg. Any mishit at all, those fairway bunkers just gobble up these golf balls. And even if you do play it down the line, just right down the middle at 300 yards, the 300-yard fairway width is only 31 yards. And if you're longer than that, so if you're like 320, it actually gets a little tighter, 22 yards. You'll see something similar. Those, inside bunkers, inside bunkers on dog legs, it almost wants you to try to cut some of it off. It's trying to show you the risk, all that stuff, right? It's egging you on. I'm going to show you the final 3 holes because those are the 3 that we talked about here. So 16 is just a long par 3, and you understand why it's a difficult hole, right? It's a 200-yard par 3 that is the water short and left is basically cutting into the surface of the green. It's well protected by bunkers on every other side that those are basically pinching in on the green. And then if you just look at, run some dispersion here, here's 50 shots for a professional from 200 yards. These are your misses, right? You're getting a couple in the water. You've got a dozen that are hitting the bank and going in. When you add some more shots, you'll see like there's going to be plenty of water balls. There's going to be balls that get into the back bunkers here. And this is using a target. I mean, this is ideal conditions, no wind, nothing, right? This is ideal conditions and also using a target that is the middle of the green. If you move that target, if you see guys trying to take on, let's call it a front pin position, those dispersions are getting now a lot more into the bunker, a lot more into the water. You can understand why that's a difficult hole. 17, same thing. What are you going to do besides stand up there and just have to hit a strong shot? If you can get it past this pinching in fairway bunker at 322, you've got another one on the left-hand side that's 340. Probably not many people getting there, but even so, fairway width 30 yards. And then you're having to hit another strong shot into this green. And then, of course, 18, which plays back up into the clubhouse here and has that natural amphitheater. Same thing. Inside dogleg bunkering, asking you to take on and cut off some of this. This bunker over here by this tree and this hillside is a very popular miss for guys. It is, right? If you mishit it at all, you're winding up over there because some of them are trying to cut it at 320-ish. So, even if you hit it through, or even if you land it on the fairway, no guarantee you can hold the fairway, although it has been kind of wet in Dublin this year. And then if you go really wayward, you get this creek up the left-hand side. So I hope I've done a good job of illustrating that you are going to have to be a strong tee to green player, and your guys are going to make bogeys this week. Now, a lot of that is condition. We'll see how firm and how fast they could get it. I know they did get, like I said, they got a lot of rain this year, but this is going to be awesome. It's going to be a sick test. Here's the cheat sheet at RickRunGood.com, and there are 4 golfers over $10,000, and they're all obviously fascinating for a variety of reasons. Scotty Scheffler's $12,500, so he has not dipped up into that $13,000 range, which means, yeah, we only have golfers down to $6,000 this week. We do not go into that $5K range. What is there to say about Scotty? I'll pull up the power rankings here for the last 36 rounds. Just to put this into perspective, if you are a 2-stroke per round player, you are probably a top 5 player in the world. You might be the best player in the world. Anything over that, when you start getting into 2.5, you're almost certainly the best player in the world, and the gap is getting larger. When you get to like 3 strokes per round, you're entering Tiger Woods territory, and where Scotty's at right now is 3.2 strokes per round. Yes, it's only 36 rounds, but I mean, let's open it up to 50. How much farther does he drop? 2.8. Still number 1 player in the world by a mile. How about last 100 rounds for everybody in this field? Is he still over 2.5? Close, 2.44. So this is not just a recent thing. Obviously, you look at his stat profile, it is almost a joke. It looks like a typo. Never have we really seen a complete golfer like this, just gaining massive amounts in every single category. In fact, he has not lost strokes in any category since Riviera, which is, by the way, where I basically played him in all my one and dones, which is just phenomenal, but that's a different kind of story. And now that he's fixed the putter, it's scary stuff. Remember this event last year. So this was the event in which yeah, he gained 20.5 strokes from tee to green, lost 8.5 putting, and finished third, which is just an absolute joke. By the way, he's a much better putter now. I just see a lot of ways that Scotty wins this golf tournament, quite frankly. And if he doesn't win it, he very likely ends up in the optimal lineup. So we'll see what the industry does. We'll do a live chat on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have a better idea of the projected ownership. I don't think you could really go wrong with a lot of these guys. Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Victor Hovland. You know, Rory, to me, should have won last week. If you want to take the positives out of it, his Friday round was pretty miserable. I think it was a 71, and he lost like 3 strokes on approach. Yeah, it was one of the worst approach rounds of his career, but he bounces back with 2 really good rounds on Saturday and Sunday, and still finishes T4. So if you have a bad round, a horrible statistic round, you didn't really drive it well all week, and you still finish T4, that's a really good sign for Rory McIlroy. If you look at his I always do that. Memorial history. It's good, not great, right? T7, T18, T18, T32 miscut are his last 5 trips. You'd expect to see some wins in there if you're Rory McIlroy. So if you're looking for tiebreakers, this hasn't necessarily been... I mean, there are other guys that have better course history. In fact, we can just do that, right? Let's just go to the Holy Grail here, load up everybody in their entire career in this field, and let's say... well, actually, what we could do is we could do Muirfield Village as the course, which will also give us that Workday Charity Open, that a second event in 2020. So Patrick Cantlay, best in terms of strokes gained here, 2.5 over 32 rounds. Scotty Scheffler is second. Colin Morikawa. Lee Hodges has only played 4 rounds here, but he's technically 4th, finished 12th last year. Kuchar, Justin Rose, Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy. I mean, it's still very good for Rory. 44 rounds, 1.4 strokes gained per round, but you don't often see Rory McIlroy 8th on a course history chart where he's played a lot of rounds, right? Usually the more rounds he plays and are good golf course for him, he has more success. It's not bad. It's obviously still very, very good, but it's worth noting. Xander Schauffele and Rory McIlroy. Xander... Also, you know, he's got a lot of really good spots on the PGA Tour. This is a place that he's finished exactly between 11th and 24th in each of his last 6 trips. I think it's a good, not great spot for him. We'll be interested to see what I'm interested to see what everybody does with his ownership, right? We haven't seen him since the PGA Championship. He's coming off the runner-up to Wells Fargo, the win at the PGA Championship. If he's the forgotten man, I'm very interested in that. And then Victor Hovland's probably the most interesting, right? You know, since the last time we've done a video where Victor Hovland's played, there's kind of been a lot of changes, right? He's back with Joe Mayo in the short game. It immediately pays dividends, and he gains 1.5 around the greens. He putted very well at the PGA Championship, and he finished third. I followed this group a lot during the week, especially on Sunday, and it felt like Victor was going to win. Had a lot of opportunities coming in, basically a birdie putt on every hole on the back nine. Stopped making birdies around 13 or 14 and just kind of lost ground. This is a really good golf course for him, statistically, right? It asks for great driving. The spots around the greens, he's been able to handle. He's your defending champion here, and it's starting to feel like he's playing like himself again. We were getting the ball striking stuff back basically since Riviera, but now that the short game might be cleaned up, he's pretty dangerous here. And I think people are going to kind of flock to that because he's a popular guy. He's your past champion, played well at the PGA Championship. We'll see what the top does here, or what the industry does with the top here. The 9K range is really interesting, and I'm interested to see what people do with basically the top three here. That's Colin Morikawa, Ludwig Oberg, and Patrick Cantlay. Quickly on Ludwig, misses the cut at the PGA Championship, which is like the first time he's disappointed you since he's turned professional. I actually asked him one of the questions in his presser before the week started about his knee. He played it off, wasn't a big deal. The advanced metrics aren't horrible. In fact, he played much better on Friday than he did on Thursday, and he missed the cut on the number at a major championship. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And also I saw that he was, on Instagram playing golf in the last couple of weeks. So I don't really think the knee is an issue, right? He would be resting as opposed to out there playing more golf. So I think Ludwig is kind of a full throttle go here. I do worry a little bit about lack of experience. Not that it has stunted him at all during this campaign, but Muirfield Village, I would like a little bit of experience here because that's what you're competing against. You're competing against a lot of really good history, but we looked at the key stats, and Ludwig is one of the best adjusted fit players in this field, fifth, when it comes to putting his metrics over what has been statistically important at Muirfield Village. So interested to see what people do there, but I'm in on Ludwig. Cantlay is probably the most fascinating, right? And I imagine that Patrick Cantlay is the go-to one and done selection for this week. A lot of people want to play course history. He is the ultimate course horse. We showed that earlier. He's got 32 rounds here, 2.5 strokes gained per round, twice a winner, a couple other top 5 finishes. Just really, really awesome stuff. The thing that I'm struggling with is just this lackluster 2024 season that we've gotten from Patrick Cantlay. And it is not well-rounded like it normally is. He is not really driving it well like he normally does. The putter has cooled off. I mean, there are a lot of, I don't know if they're red flags, but they're at least like pink flags. And I'm waiting for him to break through. Maybe this is the spot, but I don't really want to be involved if it's a 25% owned Patrick Cantlay, if he's super popular and one and done. I think there are enough reasons to be concerned about this, which leaves us with Colin Morikawa. And this is kind of an interesting situation here because, and there's a lot of layers to this. So Colin, was not having a good 2024, but we've started to see his metrics return to honestly elite levels. Driving it well again, hasn't lost strokes off the tee since API. That was in March. 3 of his last 5 measured events have been very good elite iron weeks, which were the Masters, the PGA Championship, and Charles Schwab. The short game, very positive, and the putter has been very good in 4 of his last 5. So he has returned to form, I believe, in the long game, and is running a pretty hot putter right now. If you look at his, so that's kind of layer 1. But if you look at just the cheat sheet here, you're going to see a WD in 2023, a missed cut in 2022. Yes, he finished runner-up in 2021, but you wouldn't be very excited about that. However, I will remind you that his strokes gained numbers are a lot better because this is the event in which he withdrew. I think he was 2 shots back on Sunday last year. His back flared up like the first time he's ever dealt with an injury, back spasms. he withdrew. He could have won that event, right? I mean, think about how differently we would be talking about him if he makes up, he was 2 shots off the lead, makes up a 2-shot lead on Sunday. He had gained 7 strokes to the field in 3 rounds that week. So while it says WD, it was a very, very positive week. Plus, on top of that, I know it was a different setup. He won here at the Workday Charity Open. So if you're only looking at Memorial history, it is going to look a lot worse than what is actually happening here, because you're not going to get the 17 strokes he gained at the Workday, and you're not going to get the 7.1 he gained before the WD. So if you look at it on a strokes gained perspective, it's 17 rounds, 2.3. It's the 3rd best rate of anybody at this golf course in this field. So I'm hoping most people just look at the first layer and move on and leave us with Collin Morikawa. The rest of this 9K range, I've spent a lot of time on this 9K range already. Tommy Fleetwood is probably just the odd man out for me. He's been great. I have no reason to think he's not going to have more decent success, but kind of the odd man out. If I'm feeling very frisky, I would consider Hideki Matsuyama. I understand that he burned everybody. Oh gosh, where did he withdraw? Withdraw before the tournament started, right? Byron Nelson? Is that right? I believe that's right. So kind of burned everybody there. This is a really good golf course for him. I will only be interested if he is super overlooked. And then Justin Thomas, if you guys have been watching or following along at all, I'm all aboard, right? I've been banging the drum on Justin Thomas for a while. It's starting to pay off. 5th at Harbortown, 21st at Wells Fargo, 8th at the PGA Championship with elite tee to green stuff, which is what you're going to need around here. Yes, of course, I worry about the putter. If you go back and look at Muirfield Village history, he finished runner-up to Collin Morikawa at that Workday Charity Open, then finished 18th the next week. I remember that vividly because I was stuck on live TV during that playoff, because we thought that was that 2 back-to-back sick putts on the 72nd hole. And we thought the tournament was going to be over. It went to a playoff, and we got stuck doing live shot-by-shot coverage. But he has good, 4th in 2017, 8th in 2018. I know there's been work done since then, but you're not going to get me off of Justin Thomas at this rate. As we get into the 8K range here, just remind you, if you find any of this valuable, hit the like button. It really helps my channel. Wyndham Clark is at the top of this range, and Russell Henley, Sung Jae Im are at the bottom of this range. And there's a couple of things I want to point out. Wyndham Clark is awesome. Wyndham Clark is not safe, right? So if you're looking for significant upside and risk, that's Wyndham Clark, right? A couple of runner-up finishes to Scotty. He's already won this year. He had a 3rd at Harbortown, but he missed the cut at the Masters. He missed the cut at the PGA Championship. He disappointed you at Wells Fargo, right? That's kind of what he does. Probably disappointed you at the Houston Open as well. The trends tool, which shows how much a golfer is playing compared to themselves, so their 36-round version compared to their 100-round version. The highest trending golfer in the 8K range is Alex Noren. He's playing 2/3 of a stroke better than his baseline, which makes him trending wise like a top 5 player in this field. And then Wyndham Clark is next. Better than Corey Connors, better than Collin Morikawa. He's playing a half a shot per round over his baseline, and he's doing it via the tee to green play, which is really what you want to be seeing. So this is you just have to understand what you're getting yourself into with Wyndham Clark. You also have to understand what you're getting yourself into with Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth has a very good record around Muirfield Village. I'll pull it up here in a second. And let's see, Muirfield. Whoops. Both of them. Look at this run. So 4 top 18s in a row. 5th, 18th, 18th, 13th. He missed the cut at the Workday in 2020 and finished 7th at the Memorial in 2019. So if you're just looking at Memorial stuff, it is 5 straight top 18s and 6 of 7 if you go back to 2017. Okay. What is he doing now? Believe it or not, Jordan Spieth is driving the ball like a madman. Okay. +2 at Byron Nelson, +5 at Wells Fargo, +2 at the PGA Championship, +4 at Charles Schwab. That's an insane run. This dates back to the Players. The problem is here, the second shot. And I understand its value this week, but there's something pretty tempting about Jordan Spieth because he's driving it great. His around the green play has been good. The putter is not as important, and that's actually been the one thing that hasn't worked for him. It just feels like we are one click away, right? Just one something away for Jordan Spieth, which I understand is probably like a mental illness that I have. Couple more guys that I think are interesting. Sam Burns. Is Sam Burns breaking out of this slump? Because Sam Burns, since we left California, since we left the West Coast, has not been good, right? And last week was his first top 10 since Riviera. Couple missed cuts in there. Now he had a child, and there's a lot of other things that are going on. But the stat profile that we saw from Sam Burns was phenomenal last week in Canada. He gained strokes throughout the bag, which is the first time he has done that this year. Last time he did it was the Tour Championship. And listen, it's a tough feat to accomplish, but he did it 5 times last year. So it is certainly possible and well within his game. So I'm hoping that Sam Burns is back a little bit here. I also see Russell Henley lurking here at $8,000. And, he's I feel like he is more popular in weeks where he's like the 8th best player or more. On weeks where he's like the 30th best player in the field, I don't feel like he's all that popular. The last signature event that we got was the Wells Fargo. He was 5.6% owned. The PGA Championship, he was single digits, and both of those he finished inside the top 25. In fact, at Quail Hollow, he finished T10, and that is not unusual. Russell Henley's having an unbelievable year. He's missed one cut. That was the Players Championship. That happens. He's got a bunch of top 10s, bunch of top 15s, really good metrics. The other thing that I wanted to do, and you can get really freaky here with the Holy Grail. And one of the things that I was just kind of messing around with was this combination of a long golf course and a small green golf course, right? So when you start looking at golf courses, where the greens are like 5,200 square feet or smaller, since the start of, I don't know how far you want to go back here, 2022, 2023, either way, Russell Henley shows up in like the top 10 of that list, right? Which makes sense. Small greens are usually on shorter golf courses, and he is very accurate and he is very dialed with his second shot. So it makes sense that he picks up a lot of strokes on golf courses with small greens. The thing where he's going to falter is because he does lack the length, is he is going to struggle on golf courses that are, let's call it 7,400 yards or longer, right? He's going to drop down the list there, but he also gets a little bit of a bump on courses where playing out of the fairway is pretty critical. And it's not like he's bad on long golf courses. He's gaining 0.78 strokes per round there. So it's not impossible I just think that this is a pretty decent setup for him where he's having an unbelievable year. He's probably going to come in at single digit ownership, and we're all going to act like we're shocked when he finishes T9. The Listener League is already live on Splash. So this is our weekly tiers contest. It's completely guaranteed. So $5,400 in the purse, 100% guaranteed there. So no matter how many people sign up, you're getting the full payouts. $20 an entry. It's 300 entries. It's capped there. There's already 75 in it. And this is the first time I've opened it up for the week. So you'll pick one golfer from each of 6 tiers. It's been really fun. I get a lot of good comments about that, which is always cool. The 7K range is a group of guys that I cannot figure out, right? Actually, I think I do a pretty good job on Shane Lowry, figuring out which weeks he's going to play well and which he's not. I do not get Tony Finau. I do not get Cam Young. I never get Siwoo Kim right. Like, okay, just, a variety of guys here, but let's talk through this and see what we can figure out. I want to see if we're getting any signs of life from Tony Finau. Because in theory, this would be a pretty decent spot for him. Let's do this. So back-to-back top 20s, PGA Championship, Charles Schwab, tee to green play, great. If that putter hovers around a 0, I'm cool with Tony, right? You can't have this. You can't have losing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strokes with the putter. You can have small losses, less than 1. That's fine. So cautiously optimistic here on Tony Finau. Tom Kim, what are we getting out of Tom Kim? Made a run at the end of the Canadian Open, now has 3 straight top 25s. One of them was the PGA Championship. Hasn't missed the cut since the Texas Open. These squares on RickRunGood.com are starting to get a lot more green. Game throughout the bag last week. Finau's thing that he needs is the putter. Tom Kim's is the second shot. 4.3 strokes gained on approach. Tiny loss on Thursday. Gained the other 3 days. That's a good sign. I want to pull up his Muirfield Village history. Missed the cut here last year. How was he playing leading into this event last year? He missed the cut at the PGA Championship, but he was hitting it well. If I was cautiously optimistic on Tony, I think I'm cautiously pessimistic on Tom Kim. I like what I'm seeing. This has got to be one of the worst spots for him, right? And I'm interested to see, like, I'm happy to go to him after this. Maybe a US Open, maybe a Travelers Championship. He's playing a lot of golf, right? So he's played Byron Nelson, Wells Fargo, PGA, Charles Schwab, Canadian Open. That's 5 in a row. This will be 6. He's going to play the US Open. That's 7. Is he going to take the Travelers off, or is he going to play 8? That's a signature event. He's playing a ton of golf, but he's getting into form. He's young. He can handle it. Okay. The guys that I've been ranting and raving about, Justin Thomas, Keegan Bradley, are like finally starting to pay dividends, right? 3 straight top 25s from Keegan. 4 out of his last 5. The game is sharp again. Look at this. 12 strokes gained off the tee at the PGA Championship and Charles Schwab combined. The putter, more black and green than red. These are good signs. His history at Muirfield Village. I don't know it off the top of my head. We're going to find out together. Not anything I'd be super excited about. 30th last year, 37th the year before that, missed the cut the year before that. Then he went through this stretch where he could not putt on these greens. Now, I'll tell you what, correct me if I'm wrong. They did the redesign after 2020, right? So they were ripping up this golf course as that second week was coming to an end. Since they did that, Keegan has not lost strokes putting here. So maybe he likes the new surfaces a little bit better. I'm always in on Keegan. The rest of the 7K offers a couple more interesting names. And I'll try to go quick here. First off, Will Zalatoris is 7,500. If this is a major championship venue and we think Will Zalatoris is a major championship player, 7,500 is much too cheap. I hate the way he's been putting, but I will give him credit for gaining a stroke and a half putting at the PGA Championship. And he gained on approach in 3 of those 4 rounds there. He was 9,100. He's now $1,600 cheaper in a smaller field on a golf course that should be similarly as good for him. Okay? So that's part 1. Part 2 is Billy Horschel, who is seriously in the best stretch of golf that we have seen him play since he won the FedEx Cup, which was, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 14. He might have won it in 2010. It's forever ago. He's playing the best golf. And he has a really good history at this place. I think he has a lot of ties to the area as well. I don't know if that's true or not, but won this in 2022. He did miss the cut last year, but he missed the cut everywhere last year. 13th in 2020, 9th in 2019, couple more top 15s years and years ago. But this is a pretty cool spot to deploy Billy Horschel. And then I'm not sure if I'm ready to run him out because I don't know how sustainable this is, but I do want to point out the guy that led the field in strokes gained approach last week was not Rory McIlroy. It was not Bob McIntyre. Actually, Bobby McIntyre was not even close. It was not anybody but Ben Griffin, who I think we have started to see this coming a little bit more. So if you go back to last year or the start of this year, he did not hit it well. The end of 2023 into the start of 2024, he lost strokes on approach in 8 straight. Then you started to see him turn this around a little bit, and he was getting small gains, Players Championship through Punta Cana. Then he started to figure it out even more. Byron Nelson, Myrtle Beach, he picks up 3.5 in each of those. Give some back at the PGA and the Charles Schwab. It's golf, that happens. Then he snaps off and gains 7 strokes on approach last week. And I'll tell you what, the rest of his game, the long game has gotten better because he's driving it better as well. And he always had a good short game. So it does feel like a little bit like you're chasing right now, trying to get greatness from Ben Griffin again, try to get I mean, literally that second place finish was the best finish of his career. So are you trying to get that again? But I don't think it's as much of a flash in the pan as other results we've seen from other guys. He's been trending towards this. And if he starts settling into a +3 approach guy and a +1 off the tee guy, and he remains with his short game, like that's a very good profile, especially for somebody who's only $7,200. The 6K range, you really start to lose a lot of that Memorial history, or at least good success here. Adam Schenk finished T7 last year, T26 the year before that. That's almost the best. Putnam finished 5th last year, but missed the cut the year prior to that. And then a lot of guys are just, middling to poor finishes. So you lose a lot of that. For me, it's a lot of similar names. It's Taylor Pendrith at 6,700. It's Davis Thompson at 6,400. But I do want to point out 2 more. So it's Seamus Power and it's Nick Dunlap. I think both of these guys are really starting to trend. So Seamus, again, was kind of miserable at the end of last year, and then is starting to figure it out a little bit more. But he's now gained strokes on approach, basically every event dating back to API. The putter is still a problem, but I think he can figure that out. He's been a good putter in his career. The other thing is he's currently playing in a U.S. Open qualifier in Ohio as I speak, which is Monday morning or Monday afternoon on the East Coast. He shot a 64 7 under in round 1. I know it is completely different, but this is a field. I mean, this field that he's competing against it's got Luke List. It has Andrew Putnam. It's got Hayden Buckley. It's got Brendan Todd. It's got MJ Duffy, Patrick Fishburne. It has Kevin Tway. I mean, it has PGA Tour players in it. KH Lee. I could go on and on. There's more. You got to shoot a 64. He's going to try to play himself into the U.S. Open, and I don't know if he's going to get in or not, but I like that he is playing good golf during this week. Nick Dunlap's another one that we've been keeping a really close eye on. The gift and the curse of winning the American Express, right? And just being thrown into professional golf probably before you were ready. And he started to figure it out around Houston. And he started to make more cuts than he was missing. And the metrics started to come back a little bit. Missed the cut at the PGA Championship. I'm not going to crush him for that. Very talented player, and I think we're just starting to get his feet underneath him. So just 2 kind of cheaper guys that could open up a little bit of salary cap relief. And then, Wednesday during the live chat, I'll certainly know who has made the US Open, how they played in those 2 rounds. We'll have a little bit more competitive golf coverage for a handful of these guys. Custom model. Let's run a model here. So you can run models for PGA Tour, European Tour, Korn Ferry Tour, and there's a live event this week as well in which you can run models for, and some of those guys are playing in US Open qualifiers too. So here's what I'm going to do here. Going to heavily weight strokes gained tee to green, right? I mean, I think that's just has to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 20 off the tee last 36, 20 on approach last 36, 20 around the green on the last 36. So that is 60 on weighted strokes gained. Or excuse me, I apologize. That's 60 on strokes gained tee to green. We are also going to do 10 on strokes gained long courses, 10 on strokes gained hard courses, and 10 on Muirfield Village course history. Okay. Our final 10 will then go, it should probably just go on putting, right? If we want to be smart about this, it should probably just go on putting. So let's do bonus putting, fast greens. We could do bent. Let's do bent. Let's do our last on strokes gained bent grass. Our number 1 golfer is Scotty Scheffler. No surprise. Good luck trying to find somebody else in a model. Although it's very close. A very small gap to Xander Schauffele. So Rory's at Scotty's at 9.9. Xander's at 89.8. That's like the closest anybody's been to Scotty in quite some time. Rory is 3. Look who's 4. Alex Noren. Look who's 5. Colin Morikawa. Look who's 6. Justin Thomas. I think so, man. I think JT and Colin are trending. Noren, I know he's coming off the missed cut, but he's been really good. Hideki, Finau, Ludwig, and Patrick Cantlay are 10th. And even though Cantlay gets all that run for strokes gained hard, strokes gained Muirfield Village, strokes gained long courses, which he ranks top 7 in all of those, including first in Muirfield Village, those tee to green ones are really beating him up, which is interesting. Shane Lowry is 11. Siwoo is 12. Victor is 13. Jordan Spieth is 14. Will Zalatoris is 15. That's a fun one. I like that a lot. Okay. Well, if you want to run a model, you can go sign up at RickRunGood.com and run as many models as you want and save them and export them and upload them and do whatever you want. But for now, we're going to stop there. I'm really excited for this week. I'm really excited for the next couple of weeks. It's going to be an absolute thrill. A lot of great stuff coming to the website. I'll see you at the live chat on Wednesday. And yeah, best of luck. See ya.